Ding.
Alright, hello everyone, welcome to Hellish Brain Activity. This is HPMOR 3, so that makes it episode 12, I think.
Yes.
Uh,
Mm.
yeah, I'm still behind on uploads a little bit just because, like, I haven't, I'm uploading them like a day apart, but then I keep forgetting to make, like, the tweets for them, so
hmm
that makes me
Listen, the
delay the
viewership
upload.
won't know this.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true, but, like, you know, trying to do
This
something.
message will arrive 2 weeks late. Make like a community post or something.
What community post? We have 2 subscribers and one of them is me.
Therefore,
What?
you don't need to make this disclaimer.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not even really a disclaimer. It's me just explaining why I'm still so bad at remembering what episode. Counting is hard. I don't know what you want from
You
me.
should put up a poll
A poll for what?
for what episode we're on.
Oh, okay.
What
Yeah, tomorrow.
episode are we on?
This is 12.
Nah.
No.
What do you mean no?
I mean, I choose not to believe you.
Wow. This is great stuff.
I didn't hear what you said.
Right. Right. Anyway, yeah, today or this time around we did chapters 13 through 16 of HP Memoir. Fairly like it's a fun chunk. I liked it, but like it's in terms of big events and shit to talk about, not a lot because we just get to see Harry like learning how to do Hogwarts shit. Like it's his first week of classes, I think. I don't even think
Mhm.
it's a first full week actually. I don't remember. Um,
Well,
but
he's taking classes.
yeah, he's taking classes. We get to see him in, let me see. We see Transfiguration, we see Defense.
hmm
I think we see him in Charms, and I think that's it in terms of what classes he actually goes to.
Oh yeah, Charms is the one where he tries to turn like the water into ice, and it doesn't go
Yeah,
so well for him.
and he's just like, yeah, he's just pissed that he's not able to do it.
He wishes he could be the Ice Cube Man.
That is some old HBA lore.
Yeah. 2019
Well,
wave.
damn it, I missed it.
Was that 2019?
Yeah.
Damn. I thought it was older, I'm not gonna lie.
See, I'm thinking old ass HBA lore, and I keep on thinking like 2018. I keep on thinking of the Lotus era.
Right, that was
Mhm.
2018. Alright, anyway, gosh, I don't really know where I want to start with this. I didn't come into this with like a big question or like discussion point with you guys.
So,
So,
I will say that like for the mystery, I did guess time travel.
right. Right, actually, I forgot about that. Yeah, so going into chapter 13, we get an author's note that says, I promise there's a canon compliant, like, fully explainable reason for all this crazy shit that's going on in this chapter. And I asked you guys to like read it and then take note of what it is that you thought was going on before you read chapter 14, because basically for any listeners to sum up the chapter, Harry like wakes up and he's like late for classes, and then there's a bunch of notes everywhere that are telling him that he's now playing this game and he doesn't know what the rules are and he doesn't know how to win and he doesn't know how to get points and all this other shit. So he's just like fumbling around trying to participate in the game without really understanding what the fuck he's supposed to do, and it's all very, very weird. Um, so yeah, what did you guys guess?
I thought the author was a troll.
You thought it was a fourth wall break and the author was trolling him?
Yeah.
That's kind of a crazy guess, but I guess I can't really blame you because it's like I don't know. I think what's actually going on is like as close to that you can get without actually doing a fourth wall break.
Yeah.
Fiora,
Mm.
what did you guess was happening in chapter 13 before it's revealed in 14?
I'll be honest, I didn't have much of a guess.
Oh, okay, that's all right. And then
So it was still sort of like molding after the whole thing we had last time about how the committee worked.
right, right.
You have to adapt.
Aaron, what? And then you said you did in fact guess it was time travel.
I didn't guess how the time travel worked, or any think about how the time travel was used. I just guessed time travel in general.
All right, so was that because after the Comet T thing, you said your first guess for everything was going to be time travel, or was
Yes,
it like because it seemed like a time travel shit?
it didn't seem like a time travel thing. I just guessed it because it was funny.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, fair enough. That's why when you said that, I said I was looking forward to it because the very next thing I was gonna force you to guess about, the answer was in fact time travel.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, to be clear, isn't the comedy also very weakly predictive? Like it's capable of predicting what's going to happen within the next few minutes.
Yeah.
In
Yeah, like
any weak sense, is it something comedic will happen? Please drink me.
yeah, it's like it's kind of weird because it's saying that the Comet T does time travel is like not entirely accurate, but it's not exactly incorrect either.
Yeah, it's just a very weak form of it.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, we'll get deeper into chapter 13 now. So yeah, Harry wakes up and he's like, it is way too quiet, and we learn that I guess like the Ravenclaw dorms, they have like a silence slider or something on their beds where you can adjust how much sound comes in from the outside, which is pretty fucking cool, honestly.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't think canon ever gives us anything like that. Um, I think the most interesting part about this is that it seems like sort of a meshing of technology and like magic. I mean, there's no explicit like electronic components, but just the fact that there's like a meter for it or a slider
Hmm.
rather than just a
Hmm.
general spell you would cast. That's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, he wakes up and then he's like, "Oh, it's really fucking quiet. What time is it?" And he's like, "Shit, I am like 2 hours late for my first class." And he thinks someone's like playing a fucking joke on him, which I think that's a fair like first assumption, because it would be real funny if Harry Potter, the famous kid, like was just a fuck up, really. Um, but like it hurts his
Many such
feelings, kind of.
cases.
What was that?
Many such cases.
Right. And he's kind of hurt by that because he like assumed everyone liked him, but then he finds the fucking the note, and it says that like the paper or the note was in his own handwriting and in the same like writing style as his own like pencil, and he didn't remember writing it. And we learn next chapter that that's because he did in fact write it. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, he wrote the note, and I was just saying that I think it's interesting that through magical influence, you can experience a lack of memory because of either the memory was erased or because you literally haven't experienced the memory yet.
Or he
It's
has
all kind of,
dementia.
or he has to. That's not really through magical influence, but yeah, that's a possibility.
What do you think the Dementors do?
I don't
Yeah,
think they cause dementia.
that's what they do.
I don't. We haven't even seen dementors in this world yet, and in canon, they definitely don't do that.
I think they do in this one.
Yeah.
Da,
Based on what?
da, 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 da.
You just fucking broke into it's just a burning memory.
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
crazy. Um, but yeah, and then the note says that you can only play the game once in a lifetime. And I took note of that just because it's like at any point afterwards, if you experience something like this and you know about time turners and you know you have a time turner, then it's like you're just gonna assume it's some time turner fuckery. And then yeah, he's like in his room trying to figure out how to move forward with the game, and then there's some silly like shenanigans where he's just fucking with himself super heavily. He like asks his pouch for like some cereal bars, I think, and it's just like -1 point attempt failed, and he's like, okay, can I get the box of cereal bars to be more specific? And then he does get the box, but it has no cereal bars in it, and it cost him like 2 points to get the box. And he says afterwards that at that point he knows that whoever controls the game is insane, which is really funny
Yeah.
Really funny introspection on his part. Because Harry is definitely at least a little insane. He is not a normal child.
He's a little silly.
Right, that's one way to put it. And then eventually he like leaves his room. He figures out that he's supposed to go do something. And yeah, when I was reading it, my copy of the ebook was like fucked up, and there was like a bunch of missing text. I think the missing text is like he guesses that Dumbledore, or yeah, he guesses that Dumbledore controls the game, and he gets a note that just says, "Ta, that's very very bad guess. You're an idiot. Minus however many points. Now go do this thing." It says something about like, uh, light is needed wherever darkness is found or something, some shit like that. And so Harry just assumes that it's supposed to be the Slytherin dungeons, but he doesn't know how to get there. And he's just walking around, and we kind of get hints at it here and there later on. Jesus Christ.
I apologize.
Yeah, we get some hints at it later on that like Hogwarts itself is extremely fucking weird, like as a construct. It does not have Euclidean geometry, like in any sense of the word. But yeah, so like he asks a painting, or he's trying to like talk to a painting for directions, and he almost asks if it's conscious, and he just like he doesn't because he gets paranoid about if that would make it conscious or
Yeah,
some shit.
he doesn't want to go through that shit again.
He's like, no fucking way am I doing that shit again. And then there's a really funny quote here I like in that segment. It says he says, I'm Harry Potter," said his mouth more or less on autopilot. Also more or less automatically, Harry stuck out a hand towards the painting. The woman in the painting looked down at Harry's hand and raised her eyebrows. Slowly, the hand dropped back to Harry's side. "Sorry," Harry said. "I'm sort of new here."
Right.
I just fucking love that. It's just like, oh right, I can't. That's a painting. I can't do that. Um, yeah, and then he talks to the painting about like what the puzzle is, and he's like, yeah, what's a game where no one can tell you the rules and you only get to do it once ever? And he's like, well, that's a really easy riddle. The answer is life. And he's like, no, you're not understanding me. I'm literally playing this game. Someone's leaving me notes telling me to play this game right now. And she's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? She says like, oh, if you're asking about a riddle, then the answer is life. If you mean something beyond a riddle, then I have no idea how to help you. And then she makes a comment that's like, the one who awards or takes points is always you, in terms of like the riddle. And yeah, like he fucking yeah, he was the one taking points and stuff. But I was thinking about it and like
I love how
understanding.
like, you're just correct about that. Like, I feel like he didn't know, but like he just intuited it.
Yeah. Don't see that's what I was about to get into, because it's like the timey fuck shit is like kind of hard to conceptualize a lot of the time, but like if we're gonna say or claim that the time loop of this game happening with Harry started at some point, like
Mhm.
I think this is probably where it would have started, quote unquote, you know? Like started is probably not even the correct word to use when you're talking about a fucking time loop, but like yeah, maybe he's gets the idea for the game whenever this time loop is supposed to have first like occurred, and it's
Mhm.
because she says that the one who awards points is always you. But like I don't know, it's hard to even say whether that's like something worth thinking about because it's a fucking
That's
time
just a
loop.
theory, a game theory.
Okay, dude, you got it.
Basically, she's saying that it's all in his head.
Yeah.
You're a big fan of the Harry is a schizo theory, aren't you?
He is.
She's so autist.
Literally every chance you get, you're like, I think Harry's delusional. One of
He
your
is.
first guesses with the comedy was maybe he's seeing shit.
He's seeing shit.
Maybe that's right. You don't know. You, you don't know whether the overdiagnosis of mental conditions is actually real or not.
Guys, what if Harry's in a coma?
Yeah, real.
Real.
Right.
Coma tea.
Coma tea! No! It was right there all along.
Unbelievable.
um, but yeah, then he goes and asks another painting for directions, and this time the painting was given instructions on what directions to give him, and the painting's just super excited to be involved because I guess he's like in a weird hallway that no one ever walks down, so he's like, yeah, the last time I interacted with a person was like 20 years ago. Doesn't actually say that, but that's the vibe I get. Um, and then he gives instructions, and then he, at the end of it, he says, "At least that's how it was when I was in Hogwarts. This is a Monday on an odd number year, isn't it?" And yeah, that's just another thing that's like, yeah, Hogwarts' structure is weird as fuck. Like the
The
fact that
structure.
Monday on an odd year is something you have to be concerned about when navigating it is super fucked
Hmm.
up. Um, yeah, and then I think later on we get this line from a Ravenclaw prefect where she says, like, as long as you keep going left, you're bound to go down. Or maybe that was a painting or something. And then she's like, if it seems like you're higher than where the school should be, don't move, or else we'll find you in 3 months and you'll have aged 4. And yeah, it's super fucking weird. But it reminds me of this thing in Coraline, which is kind of a weird connection to make if you have no context. But in the Coraline, so have you guys seen Coraline? How much do I need to summarize Coraline?
I saw it like a while ago, like when I was like fucking like 14 or 15 years old.
Okay, that I feel like that's a little more than a while, but right.
Yeah, maybe.
Rob, Fiora, have you guys seen Coraline?
Never watched it.
Uh, once, but I don't remember it.
All right, all right. So Coraline is about like this girl and her family, and she moves into this house
What's your
that's like,
name?
oh, shut up! I was about to answer you. Like that was a genuine question. I hate you. Anyway, she moves into this house that's like reportedly haunted, and this kid whose grandma used to live there is like, yeah, no, that house is haunted, and my grandma lost her younger sister or whatever. And
Mhm.
basically, it's like they're in that house. There's a portal to an alternate dimension that's controlled by this creature called the Beldam, and she like preys on kids.
The Beldam, does she evolve into Metang?
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, she preys on kids' souls, and like by the way she does it is that she basically creates like an idealized life for them, and then tries to get them to just stay in that alternate dimension and shit. And she's like just this eldritch sort of horror creature being, because like her true form is like a spider kind of, but she can control how she appears with her magic,
Hmm.
and there's no like explanation for what the fuck is going on with her. So that's the movie, but in the book,
There's a book?
yeah, it's based on a book. So yeah, in the book, there's like all of that stuff. I'm pretty sure is still the same. Because I only learned this by reading like a fucking Wikipedia page for the book. Because I haven't read the book yet. I've been meaning to, but I keep forgetting. Uh, so yeah, in the book, there's a big difference in that, um, or let me start over. Fuck. In the last scene of the movie with the Beldam, when Coraline's trying to escape, she runs through the portal, which normally is like kind of luminescent and blue and purple, and it looks like pretty cool. But as she's trying to escape, it's like covered in cobwebs and kind of like just way creepier. Um, and so she runs through, and she almost gets caught by the Beldam because like she's banging on the other side of the portal, and it's making it like kind of close in on itself. So that's already like a pretty freaky scene in the movie, but apparently in the book there's an extra layer of freakiness because as she's going through the portal, the texture of the portal changes. So like she gets a quarter of the way through and it feels like fuzzy, and then she gets halfway through and it feels warm and kind of slimy, and then towards the end of it it feels like it's breathing. So the portal itself is supposed to be this like another level of an eldritch abomination, and it's just like a structure. And basically, like the way the Hogwarts is described reminds me of that, where it's like it's just a building. Like to say that it's has a mind might not be totally accurate, but it's just still super fucked up and kind of just operates on its own.
I think this is what those philosophers were getting at.
What are you talking about?
Like the metaphor of the parent of Oedipus fits actually very well into this story, I think.
How so?
Um, the so-called Freudian desire to return to the embrace of the mother.
Okay, are you talking in reference to Coraline or to
Yeah.
HPMOR? Oh, okay. Because I thought you were saying that like as an add-on to the Hogwarts thing, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think it's a Portal reference.
Right.
Do you think it's a metaphor for abuse?
What, Coraline?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay. There is actually a Portal reference later in this book, by the way.
Right.
Harry Potter just says, the cake is a lie!
Yeah, that's what happens. He's like he's in the dining hall and they're having dessert on Halloween, and he's like, "Oh shit, this is poisoned. The
Yeah.
cake is a lie," and then he dies. What you guys don't know is that this happens in like chapter 22, and Hermione's actually our protagonist. That's why
Wow.
Harry dies.
Exactly. It definitely happens.
Right. Um, and then eventually we have this scene where Harry encounters like a bunch of like Slytherins who are bullying Neville and some other Hufflepuffs, and he runs in to defend them, and he opens by saying like, I forget exactly what it is. Let me find the line.
the boy who lived.
Yeah, he says. Yeah, Aaron brings up a good point. That is a line we should talk about. He says, "Hello, I'm the boy who lived," and it says there was a rather awkward pause. No one seemed to know where the conversation was supposed to go from there, which is a valid response, I think. Um, and then a little bit later, he says, "Is this part of some incredibly clever plan that will gain you future advantage, or is it as pointless a disgrace to the name of Salazar Slytherin as it?" And then he gets cut off, but he's probably gonna say "as it seems." Um, I think
Yeah.
that's
So and then someone replied with like the nerd emoji.
right. But yeah, I think the disgrace to Salazar Slytherin line is fairly important. What do you guys think that means? Because I've mentioned before that like what Slytherin means and like how it should exist to coexist with the other houses is kind of important in this story. So what do you guys think that line means?
IDK.
Right, Aaron?
Um, I'm gonna slither. I'm Slytherin.
Okay, not for real this time.
I think he was just Slytherin,
What does that mean?
sneaking around. You know.
Right. Okay, Fira, what do you think the Slytherin line means?
Mm. Oh, the whole sort of conversation about. Wasn't this like the second time we see Malfoy in like the Slytherin dorm?
Uh, no, we're not quite at that part yet. It's the part where Harry encounters the Slytherins bullying Neville and some other Hufflepuffs, and he asks if this is some very clever plan or if it's as much of a disgrace to the name of Salazar Slytherin as it seems.
I think this was just merely intimidation, if anything. Like, given the Slytherin house is very prideful,
Right.
you'd sort of expect them to at least bend to somebody proclaiming blasphemy against their own leadership.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. So like, I guess another question is, why do you think Harry has ideas about Slytherin anyway? Like, I don't think we see him like mention having read much about the founders of Hogwarts and stuff. So like, if he has an idea that this is a disgrace to that name, do you think that's also just intimidation, or do you think there's something else going on?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Which part?
Within the past 10 seconds.
All right. I was saying that like I don't remember if we see any text that says that Harry like did much research on the founders of Hogwarts and stuff. Um, but it he has some idea about what a disgrace to Slytherin's name like is and what that means. And so I was asking why you might think that is, or if you think it's just another part of like intimidation because I think it's worth
Well,
noting.
considering he already knows, like, he already knows somewhat of a context with Slytherin from Draco Malfoy himself. That there's some context that links Malfoy's bloodline to Slytherin, because Malfoy's bloodline has always been in Slytherin, and is, I believe, the representations of that house. So it would sort of make sense that he knows there's high nobility within the Slytherin line.
hmm
Hence why it's effective as an intimidation tactic, and also ends up linking into how Slytherins tend to be pretty good at psychological manipulation. So
Right,
in that way, Harry's trying to one up them. Again,
right,
another act of intimidation.
right. Okay. Yeah. I just thought it was worth noting because like in canon, this idea of a disgrace to Slytherin's name isn't like really existent because all the Slytherins are portrayed as like bullies and racists,
Hmm.
and that's kind of it. Despite like the ideals that we're told that Slytherin represented, which are like cunning. I don't remember what other ones. It's something besides cunning, but like that's the main one that I usually remember. And definitely Harry and canon, his only idea of what Slytherin is that. I think if canon Harry were to say anything about a disgrace to Slytherin's name, it would it would probably be a backhanded compliment, if anything, from canon Harry. So yeah, I just thought it was worth noting that like it's an insult here, and that like it's the second time we see Harry have like some already existing ideas about like what the houses mean. Um, because I would say that the only instance I remember where we see like strong evidence for or where we see Harry get some evidence as to what like the houses are and how they're like is on the train when Neville says that like a Gryffindor refused to help him find his refused to find his toad to help him find his toad, and that's like when Harry is like, oh, okay, well, I guess these fucking assholes didn't find that to be a worthy cause for them. That's some bullshit. But like in the during the sorting feast, we see that he has like this conception of Hufflepuff as like the hard workers and stuff, and it's like I'm wondering like where that comes from, similar to where his idea that like all Slytherins right now, or not all, but like these Slytherins in particular, are gracing Slytherin's name, like where that idea might be coming from, because we just don't see any text where he's like researching the founders of Hogwarts and what they stood for and stuff like that, you know? But yeah, moving on. Um, so then yeah, he's confronting the bullies, and he said he says out loud, he's like, I will spend however many points it takes to get rid of these two. And then he snaps and says abracadabra, and a bunch of people freak out because that sounds like he's trying to use the killing curse or some shit. And Harry just doesn't know. But the really funny part of that is that he gets a note after, or like some pies fly at the bullies, and he gets a note, and he says, "Look at this. I mean, just look at this. Can you believe I'm being charged 30 points for shipping and handling on one lousy pie? 30 points. I'm turning a loss on the deal even after rescuing an innocent boy in distress. And storage fees? Conveyance charges? Dryage costs? How do you get dryage costs on a pie? I just thought that was fucking hilarious.
Real.
This motherfucker is freaking out. He's forgetting the problem at hand. And then and then after the entire scene, fucking one of the Hufflepuffs asks Harry, "How did you do that?" And he just says, "I can make anything I want happen just by snapping my fingers." And the guy's like, "Really?" And Harry just says, "No. He's just like me. He's just like me for real. I do this
Right.
shit all the time." Just obvious bullshit into instantly being like, "No, sorry, that was not real.
I was only acting. I was doing a bit.
I was doing a bit."
He was doing it.
He literally was. And then yeah, Neville gives him. What did you guys think about Neville's speech to Harry? Because Neville's all like, uh, he's like, "You hurt me worse than anything they did when you pulled me out of there." And he kind of rags on Harry for like going up there and being like, "Hi, I'm the boy who lived," and shit. Like,
I
I
think
don't
he's
know.
molding.
You think Neville's molding?
Yeah.
Why?
He's coping and
Right. Neville cells be seething over Harry Chads.
real.
Mm.
And then Aaron, what did you think about that? 'Cause
I think Harry did deserve that.
really, why is that?
Just the whole I'm the boy who lives. That's like a little bit of a hero complex. It's a little bit cringe.
Right, that's fair. I do think that I feel like it's a little bit unfair only because I mean from the way that the text is described as it's happening, um it doesn't seem like Harry really like thought about that and was like that would be a good opener.
Yeah.
He was just kind of running on instinct. But it does say something that his instinct was to open with "Hello, I am the boy who lived."
Yeah, for sure.
You see this guy getting bullied. How do you open?
Right.
When he was the boy who lived, do you think he was living ironically?
What?
Like, do you think he lived ironically?
What does that mean?
Do you think he lived with sincere intent or no?
Yes?
The lifelong bit.
Interesting.
The lifelong bit where he stayed alive just so he could fuck with Voldemort later.
Real.
Fiora, what did you think about Neville's mini speech to Harry at the end of chapter 13?
I'll be honest, I don't think I remember this too well, so I'm gonna have a quick look back.
Okay.
Give me like a minute. If you want to talk, Robert, you can on this.
You have 60 seconds. I'm kidding.
Dun, 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 da, 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 da.
Right.
I don't like that song.
Why not? Does it make you feel unsafe and jeopardized even?
Wow. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I did want to say, I took note of the line where Neville says, "I think you're going to be really cool someday, but right now you're not." And
Yeah, that was base.
that sounded so much like you, Aaron. I could
Yeah.
hear those words in your voice.
Maybe you'll be cool in the future, but right now you're cringe.
Real.
Wow. Is that what you would say if you could like go back in time and meet yourself from like 4 years ago?
Probably. I mean, I just say take estrogen.
Right.
Do you think that would work on you from 4 years ago?
Yeah, I was susceptible.
You were susceptible.
Acceptable in what way?
You are not implying great things about transness right now. I hope you realize.
Okay, I don't mind.
Well, I feel like I'm being included in something I didn't even hear.
No, it wasn't
The
you. It
only
was
thing I
Aaron.
heard was Anaconda's. Sorry, was Robert's sister saying, "Oh my god."
Right. All we can hear
Right.
right now is Robert's sister.
My God.
Whoa.
She's
No, I don't know.
what?
You said she's and I don't know.
Why not?
What?
Why don't you know?
I just don't, man. I don't. What do you want from me? Okay. Fiora, did you find it, or did you just want us to move on?
Yeah, at this point, I'm like, I don't really have too much to say on it other than just like it sort of makes sense as to why Harry has sort of hero syndrome with him. It's sort of the ego that comes with being a gifted kid in a way.
Mhm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it gets you so easily when everybody else is just several years behind you in terms of education, and you just think, "Wow, you're the main character. Wow, I'm the main character of this story." Because
Right.
the world that you've seen is comparatively small.
Yeah. All right. Um. And then yeah, after that, Harry is thinking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I didn't handle that well." But and he talks it up to him like being angry, sort of. But something that is he points out is that he didn't feel like less in control when he was angry. If anything, he felt like he
Mhm.
was more in control.
Mhm.
And this is just some more light being shed on his self-proclaimed dark side. And I say self-proclaimed, but because like that's what he calls it. But like it very much, I think it's fair to say it definitely is. Like we're meant to interpret it as that in the way that Harry does. Um, plus I can't think of anything better to call it, so I'm just gonna call it his dark side from now on.
The voices.
Mhm.
The voice.
The voices are cool.
Nuh-uh.
Right. Harry's dark side is not supposed to be.
That's too bad.
What if it's like the thing from Naruto, like the Sharingan?
That's not a dark side.
Oh my!
Yes, it is.
Oh, I've just
No,
been
it's
reminded
not.
of that fanfic now.
I'm sorry. Oh, you mean the waves arisen?
Yes,
I forgot that you read that. Did you
I
finish it?
can now be reminded of the waves of Wisdom. It's sort of like, no, these guys break the universe in the same way, don't they?
You said what?
These guys break the universe in the same way, don't they?
I only heard same
Because the
way,
way
don't
that
they?
the way it's broken in the Naruto fanfic is basically by abusing what is effectively perpetual energy.
Yeah.
If you have bodies which have the same ether output, you get more, but and you are capable of making more bodies than ether output. It's exponential.
Yeah.
Something with this magic universe must say that for sure.
I don't think we get anything like that. Maybe we do. Maybe we get something that you consider to be like that, and maybe I just don't. But I think we're safe.
Mhm.
Well, the
Anyway,
specific thing I'm looking for is interestingly, this will actually appear in another piece of media that we will be studying. This idea of
wow.
exponential growth.
Capitalism?
Oh yeah, Fiora, you mentioned that after we finish Crosscode, you're gonna have us play Cookie Clicker.
What?
Real.
What?
No, I'd rather have you play Anti-Idol.
I'm
What?
sorry. How could we even have episodes about Cookie Clicker?
Just like one episode is just like
It'd be like a
you
company
unlock
board meeting.
something.
In the first quarter, our profits have raised astounding 25%.
I disagree.
25%. It's like 250,000 in the Cookie Clicker game.
Not by the time you get to the end game.
Yeah. Endgame Cookie Clicker is low key hell.
But then you like go above money itself. Like, what is a cookie to you when you just want to ascend?
I, I don't even know how you would give chunks for Cookie Clicker.
It's just whenever you unlock the next thing.
The next building?
Yeah.
That takes that takes literally 10 seconds when you
Nuh-uh.
start the game.
Nuh-uh.
It takes 10 seconds. Because you start with no buildings, and then you get the cursor, which costs 15 cookies. If you can't click 15 times in 10 seconds, you have a problem.
I can't click 15 times in 10 seconds.
You have a problem. Gosh, that would I can't even conceptualize how that would work. Anyway, the thing about Harry feeling more in control, and about his dark side, I just wanted to point it out, so that is something that is fresh in your memory, because I will say right now that Harry's dark side is a key piece of the overall mystery of the book.
Oh, I thought it wouldn't come up again later.
No, no, it's ever present, and like, yeah,
Like,
it's a
like,
really
like,
important piece.
like narratively, these things tend to work themselves out.
It does, but but not till the end.
Does this
Well,
end up working out like Shadow Link from Zelda 2?
I've never played that.
He fights himself in the final fight of the game.
Okay. I cannot say. That is not information I am allowed to disclose.
In addition, Harry realizes that the easiest way to deal with this fight is to hide in the corner and spam the sword.
Right.
because Shadow Link, because Shadow Harry's AI is unable to hit him.
Yeah. You know what? I'm actually thinking about it, and I think I've been trying to think about how to frame what the overall, like, mystery of this book is, because I'm pretty sure I described it before we started. It's like there's a lot of smaller mysteries, like the Comet Tea stuff, but at the central point of the story, there is like one mystery that encapsulates or encompasses the whole thing, and it's kind of the main one you're trying to figure out later on, and I'm not sure how to frame it so it's something that's on your guys' mind. I guess, yeah, I'll save that for later. I just had an idea, but I'll save that for later. Um, so yeah. Anyway, moving on to chapter 14, if I can phone open. Okay. Uh, so yeah, at the end of chapter 13, Harry gets a final note from the game master, or I guess from himself, and it just tells him, "You have lost. You have lost the game. Go to Professor McGonagall's office." And he's like, "Well,
So
okay.
yeah,
I was planning on doing that anyway." So yeah, he goes and she meets with him, and the first thing I took note of was the line that says, "It was at this point that Harry realized he was faced with the priceless and possibly irreplaceable opportunity to offer Professor McGonagall a Comet Tea, and he couldn't believe he was seriously thinking that, and it would be fine, the soda would vanish after a few seconds, and he told that part of himself to shut up." And
so yeah, I wanted to see that.
and McGonagall has several moments of complete shock in the following conversation.
yeah.
It's like not even just one. I think you can count like 5 instances where she might have spit out the Comet Tea if she was in fact drinking any. So yeah, he meets with McGonagall. He tells her, or he asks her to, like, if there's any like spells that'll allow them to talk in private, and she gets all like tense and mildly upset because she thinks he's about to blackmail her for more information about the prophecy. Um, but he's not gonna do that. He's instead telling her about the voice that he
The
heard
voices.
The voice.
after he took off the sorting hat, and she's just shocked that he came to her with that information instead of doing something with it. And she says that she says 5 decades ago was the last time a student died within the walls of Hogwarts, and I am now certain that 5 decades ago was the last time someone heard that message. Um, so for context, if none of you had like if none of you had background with a Harry Potter series, I probably wouldn't point this out. But because you do, I'll just remind you that that is referencing when Tom Riddle was
Yeah.
at Hogwarts. And for Robert, who has like no context, Tom Riddle is Voldemort's actual name.
I think that's a dumb name.
Tom Riddle. Are you saying it? Do you think it's less dumb than Voldemort?
Uh, that's a fair point. Voldemort has French in it.
Not only that, but it's an anagram. Like, that's such a fucking nerd thing to do.
Yeah, they should have changed his. They should have changed the name.
Wait, how is that an anagram?
Tom Morvallo Riddle anagrams to I am Lord Voldemort.
Oh, I misheard the name.
So did he choose that name Voldemort for that?
Yeah,
What a fucking nerd.
right? Exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. He's a fucking nerd. Um, and then after that, McGonagall's like, "Wow, I am very proud of you. I guess I feel safe giving you this thing now." And she gives him a time machine to treat his sleep disorder. And Harry
Wow.
freaks out over it, but I want to point out that back in the first chunk that we did, I don't remember exactly which chapter, when Harry brings up his sleep disorder, McGonagall does say that they will find a solution in time. Yeah. So Harry freaks out, and he's just like, "This is a fucking time machine. This is dangerous as fuck." And he holds it out from him, and he's like, "Are you aware that time reversed matter looks exactly like antimatter? And do you know how much of that you need to blow up the entire continent we're on?"
The entire tri-state area.
Right. Um, and then she's like, "Oh no, it's perfectly safe. We wouldn't give it to children if it wasn't." And he's just like, "Right. Okay. So, just to be clear, sneezing on this device will not send me into the Middle Ages, where I'll run over Gutenberg with a horse cart and prevent the Enlightenment. Because, I hate it when that happens to me." And,
That's crazy.
what?
It happens to me.
That's fucking crazy. Why did you do that? Um, and then he notes that, like, it doesn't have a protective case, because I mean, McGonagall responds to him saying that with like, "Oh no, I've heard of weird things happening when they break, but like that won't happen." And he's like, "Okay, why don't you have a protective case on these things?" And she's just like, "Oh, that's an excellent idea." And yeah, I think this is the first instance we see where the author presents us with an unambiguous case where you're supposed to be like, "Yeah, the Wizarding World is fucking stupid for this." Because every other
Yeah.
time, it's like, it's kind of reasonable that they haven't made whatever progression they should have, because they're generally on like further back time scale compared to like the Muggle world. But in this case, it's just like, yeah, no, you're just all of you are fucking idiots. Why would you not put protection on the fucking miniature time machines that you give to students? Um, and then Harry is asking questions about how it works, and McGonagall's like, "Oh no, you can't change time. Do you think we would give these to students if that was possible? What if someone tried to change their test scores?" Which just shows us exactly where McGonagall's priorities are.
Yeah.
um, and then yeah, Harry like is still kind of freaking out because he's mentioning or like before that he mentions, like, "Has anyone in your world considered the philosophical ex or the philosophical implications of going back in time and changing something and deleting every person who ever existed after that point and replacing them with a copy?" And it's such a nerd thing to go on about. I just thought it's endearing to me.
Well, yeah, this is literally an info dump.
Like, bro is
Harry
freaking the
is
fuck
going
out.
through all the things that he's seen
He's
about
yucking
basically
out.
how time travel really wouldn't work. And it's like, he's going absolutely mad over this. Because, of course, magical Britain does not make any sense to him. Yet.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Harry makes note of that let me see, let me pull the exact quote. He said, "So, people just find that the universe happens to be self-consistent somehow, even though it has time travel in it. And if I and my future self interact, then I'll see the same thing as both of me, even though on my own first run through, my future self is already acting in full knowledge of things that, from my own perspective, haven't happened yet. And he just keeps on ranting. And McGonagall's just like, yeah, that sounds about right. You probably shouldn't see yourself, though,
Hmm.
if you can help it. Um, so, let me see. Oh, yeah, and then he's like, okay, so it won't create a paradox that destroys the universe. And she's like, no, I think I would have heard if that happened. Which, besides being a funny line, is also just like, no, you wouldn't have, because you wouldn't exist. But then Harry says, that's not
Would have heard
reassuring.
about it.
Shut up. Harry's like, that's not reassuring. What idiot ever built one of these for the first time? And this is a question which we do not actually get answered within the text, but I do have relevant Word of God that I went and looked for specifically for this part because the way that time turners actually like work in this universe is just sort of confusing, and I
Hmm.
use sort of extremely generously here. Um, okay, so I'll just read you guys the entire word of God here. It says, I never got around to using this in the story, but if you're curious, here's the origin of time turners in HPMOR. Back when HPMOR was first unfolding, somebody on Reddit suggested that the reason time turners were given to students was that this was how time turners were invented in the first place. Some year, the Hogwarts administration was trying to solve an impossible scheduling problem and finally gave up and said, let's give them time machines. I immediately declared this Reddit comment to be canon. Reasoning carefully, we can see there must be an interesting bit of backstory here, though I never got a chance to amplify on it inside the story. First, a word about where spell incantations come from in HPMOR. Needless to say, the fundamental structure of the universe does not uniquely prefer the phrase stupefy for stunner spells. There are
Hmm.
zillions of possible stunner spells. If you're a sapient being born without a muggle allele, allele? Allele. Which is something like very, very slight spoilers. We'll get into that in like two chunks.
Why the
Uh,
fuck did they make it genetic? That's so stupid.
yeah, we'll get into that later. Um, so if you're born without that suppresses your magic, you can sometimes intuit the corrected form of one of those spells, if that spell is possible and you have enough of its rough shape imagined inside your mind. If you are a wizard who has a wand and is used to doing spells in pseudo-Latin, you are likely to imagine spells invoked by wand gestures and pseudo-Latin incantations. If
Hmm.
your imagination is roughly right enough, you can intuit corrections to completion. After
Hmm.
that, anyone can use the spell formula, even if they grew up speaking Gaelic. We only see glimpses of this mechanic in HPMOR, but oh, actually, let me skip that line. That's more. That's too spoiler.
Yep.
Um, through the centuries of the HPMOR verse, there were many wizards who tried to invent great spells and rituals that would let them travel backwards in time for years and change the past. Undo
Hmm.
that one huge mistake, unsay that one wrong word, buy Goblin Bitcoin. As it happens, this wish is impossible under the HPMOR laws of physics. You can't change the past. You can't go further back than 6 point something hours. No spell like that exists, so you can't intuit one. One
Hmm.
day, a headmistress of Hogwarts was faced with a mind-boggling, frustrating class scheduling problem some centuries before computers were invented. Until finally, the very afternoon before classes were due to start the next day, she turned away from her parchment sheets and tried desperately to invent a time travel spell. Not a time travel spell that would let her change history, not even a time travel spell that would let her go centuries into the past and ask Merlins a few questions. A time travel spell that would let students go back a couple of hours and attend more than one class at a time, which meant that for the first time in magical history, a powerful witch was trying to invent a time travel spell that was, in fact, possible. There is a reason that so many magical innovators hail from Gryffindor rather than Ravenclaw. The first spell the the first spell the headmistress would have hit on would have sent her an hour back in time and splattered her all over her office. But here's the
Hmm.
thing, if the headmistress was sitting in her office and then suddenly there were chunky bits of blood tissue all over with pieces of her own clothing mixed in, she would not have cast the time travel spell she would have invented an hour later. So for the first time in history of earthly magic, the simpler universe, the one with no time travel going on, was inconsistent. In a universe with no previous time travel having occurred, the headmistress would sit in her office undisturbed by an explosion, think up the spell, try to use it, and there would be an inconsistency. A consistent universe, then, has to be a universe where at least some time travel takes place, and not the crude exploratory kind that splatters the headmistress all over herself. There's no set of splatters that would get the headmistress to invent a corresponding time travel spell and use it to splatter herself. And so what happened was the consistent universe where the headmistress suddenly appeared out of thin air in her office and spent a frantic 6 hours working with herself to teach herself the key bit of a time turner that would let her go back 6 hours and teach herself everything she just learned. You might think that could have happened any time in magical history, and it could have, but it didn't need to happen until the first time somebody was in a position to intuit a time travel spell that could have rendered the universe temporarily inconsistent otherwise. And that wouldn't happen until the first time a research level wizard desperately wanted to go back in time just a couple of hours and not change anything at all. So to this day, time turners are used to untangle the class schedules for Hogwarts students. Right. So did all of that make sense?
No.
No,
No.
Okay, but like for real,
I don't think.
Aaron, please.
I don't think.
The mechanics of time turners are crucial to this story. I need to be sure that you at least understand them a bit.
Yeah, so in the sense of like
I think the
why
answer to
time turns are the way they are.
I think the answer to the big mystery is time travel.
Okay, you're wrong, but okay.
Well, isn't this basically about how time just works in the Harry Potter universe in general? Because if I remember, it's like time is linear, but it's linear in a very weird way.
Kind of.
Because it doesn't have any, you don't have any like alternate timelines in the Harry Potter universe. You just have points in time where somebody has gone back in time from a already determined universe.
Right. All right. So just to be clear, I don't need to clarify anything in specific on everything I just said.
I think. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What do you mean? Go ahead. I don't know what parts might have still been confusing. That's what I'm asking you guys.
Neither do I.
Okay, Rob.
Yes.
Yes. What, dude?
I think I understand.
Okay, Fiora.
I think you understood also.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's good. The key takeaways here are one, the thing we'll get into later being there's a Muggle allele in regards to magic, which is sort of dubious, but like I said, we'll get into that later. Two, the way that spells come into being, where they're like are pre-existing magical effects, I guess, and basically the universe is like, are you powerful enough and are you close enough to imagining this? You are. Okay, here's the rest of the info. And then, yeah, time travel is always consistent in this universe somehow. So yeah, those are the key takeaways from all of that. I forgot how long that comment was. I wish I had like added some spark notes or some shit and shortened it. but but yeah, time turners are fucking
Yeah.
weird. Time turners are fucking weird.
Kid name weird.
And there's actually other. Wait, what?
She turned my time until. Sorry.
Right. Right. There's some other relevant word of God. Yudkowsky actually did not.
What?
Yudkowsky was not a fan of time turners. Because one thing he didn't like in a lot of the fan fiction he had read was that like time turners are almost always being used. And it's like understandably so because the author introduced them and then never did anything with them because she just kind of realized that there's nothing you can really do with them that is like good, kind of, because you can just use them to solve almost any problem, and she didn't really think about the rules all that much.
Mhm.
But the way that he saw it was that it's like, it is there, and I couldn't think of a good or better reason that they didn't exist, so I just kind of had to use them and figure out how to make them work, and so this is what he came up with.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then, let me see, yeah, not much else happens in this chapter. We see him go and do the game now that he's able to, now that he is a time turner. Um, and the only relevant or super relevant thing that happens is that he gets to watch the bully scene from the outside. And he says, Professor McGonagall was right. The Sorting Hat was right. It was clear once you saw it from the outside. There was something wrong with Harry Potter, which is just more validation towards the existence of his dark side. And again, the story calling to attention Harry being unusual and fucked up.
What if he has like a Naruto gene?
What does that mean?
Does he have dissociative identity disorder?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't not feel like himself when he's angry. When he's
Okay.
using his dark side, like it still feels like him, but he says that he just feels like
So it's like a
calmer
Joker
and more
thing.
control. Kind of, kind of. What does the Naruto gene mean, Aaron?
It means he goes Naruto mode every once in a while.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means like going goblin mode.
Okay,
No, he enters his cringe arc every now and then.
right, right. Anyway, moving on to chapter 15. This is where we see him doing classes. He's in Charms class, and he is pissed. Why is he
Mauled?
pissed?
Mauled?
Because he can't churnify the water.
Correct. He cannot. He's trying to use. I forgot what the spell name is. Frigidario or something. Frigidiro, maybe. Um, and yeah, he's trying to use that on water, and his water isn't getting cold. And he says that he wants to demand a refund on his dark side, which clearly should have irresistible magical power, but turned out to not. Which is like I mentioned this last time we talked about HPMOR, but like his dark side isn't like your usual conception of a dark side in like another, or I guess some older like fantasy books where it's like, yeah, you have it and it has like this power, but using it hurts you. Um, and it's like in this story that's not really the case. It's like there isn't any extra power there. He just gets angry and he's just kind of like different, but still himself. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then this is also another instance of him being like trope savvy, but this is probably the last time I pointed out, unless his trope savviness is leading him to like make a mistake in the future, because like you guys get it by now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, we find out that Hermione is like she's rocking this shit, she's owning everyone. She casts that spell in like 2 minutes, and now she's helping other students,
She's
and
reading book.
she is reading book. And then yeah, Harry's like, I don't care what I need to do. I will use as many hours in the day as it takes, but so I can keep up with Hermione fucking Green. And so yeah, I think that's cool because it's like it comes up later where he's like, dude, I'm literally time traveling to study more, and I'm still just barely keeping up with you. Like, what the fuck? Um, and then we see him in Transfiguration, where we do kind of just get an info dump, like, to be real. What?
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 What? Okay.
Alright, you'll need a reset.
Okay. Moving on.
Okay.
So we see McGonagall
I said
teaching.
transfigure.
Oh,
Wow. Just like me for real.
so we see. So we see McGonagall give this big speech about transfiguration and how dangerous it is. As an art, it's definitely a lot more fleshed out than canon because like we don't really learn shit about transfiguration except like in canon there's this thing called Gamp's 5 laws of transfiguration, and they're kind of silly. Um, and they still sort of exist in this world, but like not really. Like, for example, the fucking you can't like transfigure things into gold in canon, I'm pretty sure, and you can't transfigure things into food either,
Mm-hmm.
which are just like really arbitrary rules. Like, I don't know, why would Magic have those rules? But
So
but
you
I
can't
think
eat.
oh
Especially because like food is like such a um broad category and hard to
right,
define.
right, yeah, exactly. It's like, most people won't eat bark, but you can transfigure bark, and you can, in fact, eat it.
And people are shown to transfigure things into animals, which could be eaten.
Right, exactly. At least, and in this speech in HPMOR, we do get some further explanation for why you like could do that in HPMOR, but you shouldn't, and people don't. Because like McGonagall goes on to describe how like because of the minute changes that happens within substance, even when they are transfigured, when things transfigure back, they're not always uh exactly as they should, and usually some fucked up shit happens. Like the first example we're given is that if you were to transfigure wood into water and drink it, eventually when the transfiguration runs out, now you have like wood particles or something like in your stomach and in your bloodstream, and you would be very, very sick, and you would probably die.
Mm-hmm.
So
No.
like, when you transfigure like McGonagall transfigures a table into a pig,
Mm-hmm.
and so like, you couldn't, or well, I guess you could, but like you shouldn't try to eat that pig, because when it transfigures back into a table, yeah, you're probably gonna fucking die. Um and so
I
yeah,
would simply
McGonagall,
live.
did you say I would live?
Yeah, I would just
There
live.
is a funny way to. There's a funny way to do this. Just transform a bunch of lead into a chocolate bar.
Right, what part of
Or
that is
there's
funny
this just
exactly?
like dimethyl mercury real.
Right.
Right.
That's really funny, Fiora. That's a really cool joke.
You're gay.
I would feel so safe around you if we were all wizards.
Yes, I would.
Of course,
In fact,
as opposed to if we
the thing is, I
weren't all
wouldn't even
wizards.
use the transmutation. I would just use dimethyl mercury.
Right.
To be fair, I
It's
don't.
harder to track me if I've decided to kill someone that way,
Does that exist in
because it
liquid
only
form?
comes into effect like 6 months after.
That's a liquid metal, right?
It's a liquid metal compound.
All right.
Hmm.
Um, at least there is some comfort in that you would have to be extremely familiar with the molecular structure of that to be able to transfigure it. And also, liquids in general are harder to transfigure stuff into. But like, still, I am not feeling extremely comfortable. Like, if I go to your house and I know that we've had a minor scuffle recently, I am not drinking anything in your house.
Right.
Right. What do you think would happen if you transfigured Comet tea into water? Would
your
it still
stomach
work?
would your stomach would start spitting.
Right.
Yeah.
I regret asking that question. Anyway, um,
What?
so yeah, but like I was saying, we do get some reasons for why you don't transfigure shit into food, in HPMOR, but I think we hear later that you're still not able to transfigure things into gold. Um, but it still feels like s- such a weird, arbitrary rule, especially because of now that we have like some info on how spells are like created, or like there are magical effects that you can guess well enough to like cause them to actually work. So why did the universe decide that no, gold is the material that you are not allowed to change shit
This is
into? Oh, you know what? You know what? I'm
what?
fucking stupid. No, we don't even see that that happens. We literally get an explanation in this one. Like the thing is that the transfiguration isn't permanent. It would just change back from gold. So what would be the point? You would just get caught for fraud, right? I'm being silly.
What if you didn't get caught? What if you were
How?
on the run? What if you were on the run from Turing cops, and they tried to give you dementia?
What the fuck are you on about?
Nothing too complicated, really.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah,
Turing
McGonagall's.
cops. I would like you to justify what those are.
Oh, the Turing cops. They're like um they're basically like police to enforce a specific standard of computing, um, existing in the cyberpunk future that we currently live in.
Right.
Turing cops. Turing would never have his name slapped on something like a cop. This guy is gay. He does crime.
No, Turing's cool. They use his name though.
Oh, this is like how apparently Einstein is basically a business property now. Just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
incredibly just
Absolutely, it's the same thing.
fucking depressing. This guy would never advertise yeah, silly things like wind power on like a national scale.
He would never.
Right.
Supposed smart meter. This guy would debunk a smart meter. He tell you every reason why these things suck and just tell you to get.
No, he's
Just
the
tell you to keep your
smartest
meter you
guy.
already have.
He's right about everything. Don't ask about what he actually said, but like he was like super smart.
Right.
Who?
He's the inquisitive mind of science and
Mhm.
logic itself. The INTJ stare originated with Albert Einstein.
Right.
Anyway, there's a little tangent.
Right. Yeah, I'll move on. So yeah, fucking McGonagall opens up with he basically looks at the class and is like, "All right, tell me, look at this pig. Do you think it was?" Or no, she has the pig. She transfigures it into a table and then back into a pig, I think. And then she's like, "All right, which one was it first? Do you think it was a table first or was it a pig? Like, which one's the real form?" And Harry's like, well, I would hope that you wouldn't like want to kill a pig, so I'm gonna guess that it's a table." And she says, the correct answer is that you do not care to guess in Transfiguration. Wrong answers will be marked with extreme severity. Questions left blank will be marked with great leniency. You must learn to know what you do not know. And I took note of that because now that I'm looking more for hints of like analogies to like AI and other stuff that Yudkowsky is into in this reading compared to my past ones. I think Yudkowsky probably imagined Transfiguration as analogous to some other real world arts, but I can't speak on if it's intentional, and I don't know what it would be analogous to. I'm not super confident that AI development is similar enough to where he feels that way, where it's like you like wrong answers are extremely bad. You do not care to guess, and you have to like know exactly what it is you don't know in this
Wow.
discipline. But what do
SAT
you guys
record.
think?
If you didn't hard code in the limitations on ChatGPT to prevent it from saying swear words, then you have misaligned it, and you will get in big trouble. With when you try and transfigure society. No, don't you think that's like really deep, dude?
So I'm guessing that you think it is supposed to be analogous directly to like AI development.
Um, I didn't really pay too much mind to it. I assume like if there's if it is analogous to something, then the easiest way to figure that out is just to read more and see how it goes.
Okay,
I don't. I know that I don't know.
good job, good job.
Wow.
You're
You
gay,
you're learning, Fiora.
Brad. I'm
I really
surprised. You really have
switched
changed.
to AI development, really. Because knowing Yukowski's actual views on AI, I'm pretty sure he's pretty heavy on AI safety and knowing, like, basically how GPT-4 is somewhat scary to him, because that's, like, the first AI we've really had that's at least tried to demonstrate some sort of intelligence. It's, like, kind of in this actual regard.
Wasn't
But
I thought
um,
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I had only briefly like browsed Yudkowsky's worries about GPT-4. I thought that his primary concern was that it was the first AI model that would be actively connected to the internet.
uh,
Like I thought that's where his concern stemmed from, just because of the amount of information it would have available to it and what that could mean for, I guess, information proliferation, if that makes sense. I'm not sure.
Well, this is also in part this is also in part combined with hours of watching videos from this guy who did videos on AI safety several years back. Who also interviewed the guy for the record. I believe that guy has mentioned several issues with GPT-4 in its safety, and it's the main thing is like basically not only is it too easy to backdoor, but it's also too easy to there's things like the little GPT jailbreak. But it's also just that the AI itself is dangerous because of the data set it's trained on. And I
see.
think, funnily enough, this ends up being the reverse of the thing because everybody's like, it almost feels like the AI is trying to act what everybody knows in a way, which is why it manages to go through why it manages to spew out so much misinformation. Also, why it tends to spew out societal biases that are very average. It tends to, for example, it sort of tends to bias toward male targets as something that's popped up a lot within AI study.
I see. All right. Well, I just wanted your perspective on that. Oh, great. Yeah, Rob, you haven't commented.
I lost my train of thought. What are we talking about again?
Yeah. So when McGonagall says that you do not care to guess in Transfiguration, wrong answers will be marked with extreme severity, and you must learn to know what you do not know. And I was saying that I'm thinking that that's probably supposed to be analogous to how Yudkowsky views some other real world things. And I think the obvious answer is that it's something to do with AI development, but I'm not like
It's
quite
something to do with
confident
the
in that.
SAT.
Yeah.
Something to do with the SAT?
Yeah, they mark you off if you get it wrong. So it's better to leave it blank if you don't know the answer.
Right. Okay, fair enough. Um, so yeah, and then she goes on to explain more about Transfiguration. Like I said, Transfiguration is impermanent. That's very important fact about magic for the story, which is why it's been given this whole scene. Um, and then she she has a line where she's like making everyone like recite rules and stuff for everything. And she's like, even if the current defense professor at Hogwarts tells me that a transfiguration is safe, and even if I see the defense professor do it and nothing bad seems to happen, I will not try it myself. Which is just a little nod at the history of their terrible defense professors, which you get more elaboration on later, but for Rob's sake, in canon, there's a curse on the defense position so that no one's able to hold the job for more than a year. Which is why Harry has a new one every single book. And that curse also still exists in this canon, but like we do get some more info on what exactly past professors did that got them fucking fired and shit. So yeah, that was just a funny little nod at that. And then I think after the class, there's some dialogue between Harry and Hermione, where Hermione is just like, "Wow, I've gotten a lot of points today from this classwork shit," and he's like, "You know, you think you're gonna be able to catch up?" And then McGonagall's just like, "Oh yeah, Harry, that reminds me. Here's 10 points for some bullshit." And Harry's just like, "Professor, what are you doing?" He says, "This is our war. Stop meddling." And then she's like, just like, you know, there's this other thing you did recently. I wonder if you should get points for that. And I just love McGonagall's sense of humor. And then, yeah, so that's the end of chapter 15. And then we get into chapter 16, which I subtitled Enter Battle Magic and There is Something Wrong with Harry Potter. So I've been trying to refrain from doing this, but for chapter 16 in particular, I want to know what your guys' initial thoughts, if any. And I'll just cut this part out if there's nothing. Fiora? Did you have anything you wanted to say to start about chapter 16?
Nope, I got nothing. Sorry.
All right, Rob?
There's some shit going on with Quirrell.
There is some shit going on with Quirrell.
Nuh-uh.
Okay. My bad. Um, So yeah, so we open the chapter with Harry arriving early to defense class, and he describes it as being sort of like a college auditorium, which I think is a neat touch. I never really thought about it because whenever I envision any classroom that is, when I envision specifically potions and defense, I imagine it as like a dungeon room, basically. That's all I
Mhm.
really think of whenever I think of it. So yeah, he describes it as that, and then Draco comes in, and he's like, "Harry, what the fuck are you doing, dude?" And Harry's just like, "What?" And Draco's like, "Yeah, you didn't you like fucking throw some pies at some Slytherins, and then call them a disgrace to Slytherin? Like everyone's super confused about what the fuck you're on." And Harry says, or no, then Draco's like, we none of us know how to like interpret you. And then Harry's like, well, you should interpret me or my behavior as that the Sorting Hat decided to put me in the house of Slytherin, just kidding, Ravenclaw, and I've been acting accordingly. I just thought that was funny. Um, and then we see Quirrell, who's like half asleep or some shit when the chapter starts, and then he starts talking, and then he's like active and a normal person. Um, and he goes on to stuff about like he's basically giving like his intro speech to the class, and one thing in particular that I wanted to note about it was just that he says no such. He gives an example of like a question. He's just like, yeah, there will be no pointless questions on in any of my lessons. They will not count against you, and I appreciated that from Quirrell. He just avoids pointless memorization shit that you'd expect in normal school. I think the biggest takeaway from this chapter we can get is that Quirrell is probably going to be a very effective teacher. What do you guys think?
He's a populist, but I do have to respect his commitment to not being part of the curriculum.
I don't actually know what populist means.
Uh, Appealing to the lowest common denominator,
How so?
or um, I guess just like touching on like people's preconceived biases about like the textbook or whatever, even though like he might not actually have anything better to offer.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to mention that. He's just like he's immediately like, yeah, you're not using that fucking textbook. Fuck that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
But yeah, he's like, no textbook, no pointless questions. And then one thing in particular that that made me like start thinking, wow, this guy is probably going to be like he seems like a really insightful teacher. Um, was that he says on the rare occasions I offer you a written test, it will mark itself as you go along, and if you get too many related questions wrong, your test will show the names of students who got those questions right, and those students will be able to earn Quirrell points by helping you.
Mhm.
And yeah, Harry's just like, wow, why don't other teachers do that? And I was like, yeah, well, wow, that'd be incredible to have
Yeah.
if your goal is to actually help people learn, which it's sometimes it's not what the goal of a teacher is, but it should be.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, and then after that, Quirrell goes on with this speech about what defense against the dark arts really means and why he just prefers to call it battle magic. Um,
Mhm.
because he's like, the books will teach you how to deal with like these fucking minor creatures or whatever. Just fucking kill them. Like that's literally his answer. He's like, here's a oh, you see a dragon? Its hide can like protect itself from the sharpest sword in this world. One killing curse will take it down. Oh, a mountain troll? It's constantly regenerating into itself and can't really be damaged by most forms of magic. One killing curse will take it down. And for any kid raised in magical Britain, this is probably pretty fucking shocking because like the killing curse is extremely taboo. It's considered an unforgivable if used against another human. Um,
Mhm.
so it's what was that? You sound extremely far away. I cannot hear you.
They
They
had
had
to
a
smoke
smoke
on
on
Bandit.
Bandit.
They had to fucking yeah, basically. But like I think the best way to contextualize it if you're someone who was born and raised a wizard and you're hearing this, it's like if you grew up in Australia and had a self-defense class where the instructor said to just carry a gun and shoot everything as self-defense, you know? And I think that's like pretty analogous, you know, like they're pretty strict with their gun control, and you don't exactly need to kill everything you need to defend yourself from, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, it kind of shows that fucking Quirrell's kind of hardcore. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but he's just like, yeah, no, all these things you can just kill them. Like defense against them is extremely simple.
Yeah.
Um, but I do like Quirrell's framing of like a dark wizard as the most dangerous slash nature's most perfect killing machine. Mostly because I just kind of agree with him. Like anything else, anything less than another wizard is beneath anyone who is creative and unsympathetic enough, honestly.
Hmm.
Like, if you're dealing with a dark wizard who's for real about his shit, if you become a problem to him, he will just kill you.
Yeah.
Like, he has the unblockable fucking curse that causes instant death on his side, and he has no qualms about using it. And even
Not
if
the
he.
unblockable fucking curse that causes instant death.
You said what?
Not the unblockable fucking curse that causes instant death.
What? That's what it is.
I know, I was just trolling.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, so it's like if in canon, if Voldemort was really like on his shit and not a little stupid, he would have been like, "Oh shit, the boy who lived, I got the body, killing curse instantly." Just and then he wins.
I thought he did
Yeah.
that.
No, he didn't.
Oh, what did he do?
Well, he in canon, he gets revived in like the fourth book, and the way that there's this ritual that calls for like the bone of the father, the flesh of the servant, and the blood of the enemy. So he captures Harry, cuts him, uses his blood for the ritual, revives him, and then he summons the Death Eaters, taunts Harry in front of them while Harry is strapped to a statue, and then he gets Harry off of the statue, gives him his wand, and has them duel. And because of like fucky lore shit about their wands having like brother cores or whatever, or twin cores, the wands can't really like damage each other. So
Uh-huh.
this is gonna sound really stupid. So what happens when two wands with twin cores interact is that they perform uh I forgot what the actual name of the thing is in lore, but basically they will like sort of show the spells that the wand previously cast, you know? So what
Uh-huh.
that
Mhm.
ends up what that ends up meaning is that because Voldemort's wands were last used to kill Harry's parents, the ghosts of Harry's parents comes out of like the connected wand beam, and then they ambush Voldemort, which gives Harry the opportunity to escape.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and like if Voldemort was on his shit, he would have been like, "All right, Death Eaters, that's Harry Potter. Avada Kedavra, while he's tied to the statue, no more Harry Potter. Uh, and then he wins. And
No
then he
more Harry
wins.
Potter.
And honestly, you know what? There's even like because of the way that the blood magic is vaguely hinted to work in the Harry Potter canon, there's a chance that that killing curse might not have worked, but like his servant cut his hand off with a knife for the ritual. So you have a knife. If you want to completely avoid some possible like magical resonance preventing you from killing this kid, you have other methods. So yeah, any dark wizard, any guy who doesn't
They're
give enough of a
wizards. They
shit.
don't know. They don't know how to use anything but magic.
Right.
It's the only weakness.
Their only weakness. But yeah, it's like any wizard who is enough of a sociopath and is vaguely creative can absolutely just prevent you from doing anything to them, or not doing anything, but they are like nature's most perfect killing machine. They're like, I want that guy dead. He's gonna be dead within however much time, unless he kills me first or something like that. You know. So I like the framing because, like I said, I just agree. I can't imagine something that would be more dangerous than like a Voldemort character who's smart. You know.
Hmm.
Wow. The biggest danger to the world was humans all along.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, especially when they have fucking magic.
This says a lot about our society, and yet we live in one.
Yes, you are very intelligent.
Thank you. I know.
Right. Right.
And then after the speech, where Harry's loving the speech the whole time, by the way. He's like, afterwards, he's like, oh my god, I would stand up and give this man a standing ovation.
Give this man a medal.
Give this man a Reddit gold.
But yeah, and then there's a there's a funny line where afterwards they're practicing this like very simple stunning spell on targets, and Harry's just acing that shit, and he's like, I can do magic. Fear me, laws of physics. I am coming to violate you, which is an exact quote, by the way.
I'm gonna magic. I'm gonna magic.
Yeah, that's basically Harry. And then yeah, after they do that, Quirrell is like, okay, we're gonna play a little game called Who is the most dangerous student in this classroom? And then he calls up Hermione because she was the first one to get the spell right, and he's like, yep, she got the spell right. She's helped 7 different students with getting this spell now. You might think she's the most dangerous one in the classroom because she mastered the magic first. And then he tells Hermione, alright, shoot someone. And she just refuses to do it. Harry tries to like hint at her to shoot him because he's chilling, but she just refuses to do it. And Quirrell's just like, well, disappointing. So who is our next candidate? And I guess the entire classroom just vaguely looks in the direction of Draco Malfoy. I think it's really funny that Draco has a reputation like that just because of his dad. Like everyone knows who his fucking dad is because he was a Death Eater in the last war, so everyone fucking knows, and they're like, this kid is probably fucked up. And so they have yeah, fucking Draco goes up and he does the same thing, and Draco decides to shoot Hermione, and then Quirrell's like, see, this is what makes him dangerous. He picked an enemy that wouldn't get him any more enemies. But and then he's like, but he's still not the most dangerous. I've decided it's Harry Potter. I went and conducted some interviews, and I'm pretty sure it's this kid. And Harry's just like, wait a minute. Come on, dude. That's not fair. I'm just a little guy. I'm just a silly little dude. What are you talking about? And then yeah, Harry's like, no, dude, you don't. That's not what I'm about at all. You don't get it. And Quirrell's like, oh, you think I've misread you? You will come to expect better of me. And
You
yeah,
will come.
Quirrell's what?
What?
Anyway, yeah, Quirrell is just a smart character. He's a smart guy. That's important for later. But yeah, and then what did you guys think of the whole the rant that Harry goes on? Because instead of instead of sh- instead of telling him to shoot someone with the simple stunner, Quirrell tells him to name 5 or what? No, he says name 10
And
creative uses of things in this classroom to defeat an enemy. And then Harry goes the fuck off.
yeah,
Yeah.
What did you guys
he gets silly.
what did you guys think about that?
Um,
That was a good moment. This is one of the moments that. This is one of the moments that, through my first read of this, it just sticks out in my head.
it's average.
Average?
Average.
It's
No
average.
way.
What part of this is average?
It's average Harry Potter posting.
No.
Right.
Rob, what did you think about it?
It's pretty incredible to say throw human bodies as in combat.
You would do that.
Right. Yeah, no, when I first read this, I was like, this is an impressive show of creativity, but this kid is unhinged as hell. What the fuck? Like he says and Hufflepuffs, in addition to being hard workers, also contain bones that can be removed, sharpened, and used to stab someone.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what the hell? And then, after he's done, Quirrell is like, let me see. Yeah, Quirrell is like, and see, this is why. Actually, you know what? I don't even remember exactly what it is. Let me go find it. Where the fuck is the quote? Yeah, okay, so first he calls out yeah, he tells Harry to stop, and then he says, "Well, do you all think you understand what makes Mr. Potter the most dangerous student in the classroom?" And then he asked Terry Boot, and Terry's like, he's creative. And Quirrell's just like, no, you fucking dumbass. All these ideas are fucking terrible. Like, what do you mean? Remove the floor to create a spike trap? When will you have time to set that shit up? Transfigure material from the walls? Harry cannot do transfiguration. And he had one idea that he could use immediately right now without extensive preparation or a cooperative enemy or magic he doesn't know. That idea was to jam his wand through an enemy's eye socket, which would be
And
more
that wouldn't
likely.
even work.
Yeah, and that wouldn't even fucking work. In short, Mr. Potter's, I'm afraid your proposals were uniformly awful. And Harry's just like, dude, what the fuck? What are you talking about? You asked for unusual ideas, not practical ones. I was doing my best. How would you use something in this classroom to kill someone? And oh my god, sorry. And Quirrell's just like, well, Mr. Potter. I never said you had to kill anyone. And then Harry's just like, fuck, he's right. He didn't say that. Why were all of my
Yeah.
ideas trying to kill someone? And that is important. I needed to point that guys out to you. It points out a very clear bias that Harry has, where it comes up later, I think, but it's like whenever he's engaged with a conflict, he always sees it and frames it in a way where he needs to win.
Hmm.
So in this context, where he's asked, "How would you use these this household thing, or not these household things in this classroom to defeat an enemy?" He just interprets defeat an enemy as killing them, because to just win the battle means that they might come back later, you know. So for him, winning is an absolute goal, and it's what he's aiming for all the time. And that is a very important bias to keep in mind when we engage with Harry's behavior in the future.
My prejudices.
Right.
And then on another level, it's also good that Quirrell calls out the impracticality of all these ideas, because I think that in a fanfic that was meant to sort of just prop Harry up as an impossibly genius wizard guy, you know,
Hmm.
I think that the text would just applaud the creativity of his answers and just kind of ignore the fact that Quirrell's right. When the fuck are you gonna be able to remove the floor and make spike traps? You know, it's like you're not fucking Batman. You don't get prep time.
You can do it in one move,
I-
maybe three.
You'd have to be a pretty powerful wizard to do that in one move.
Well, okay, three turns.
Okay,
Returns.
consider the following. You don't need to be a particularly powerful wizard to kill someone in one turn. Or at least, no, you probably don't. I mean, we don't know how much magical power, if that's a thing, is necessary to cast the killing curse. But
Okay,
even
but
then, you could knock someone out in a turn, because in canon, Stupefy is the stunner spell, and they learn to cast that shit in I think third year.
well, okay, I can do damage while setting up spikes with Ceaseless Edge.
Right,
Stupid Pie.
right. And then yeah, one of the characters notes that I forget who exactly. They note that Harry's sensors are off, which is definitely not a normal quality for a child, right?
It's a pretty normal quality for a child.
I really disagree.
Sensors are learned rather than the other way around. A child
Yes.
will be more likely to be unfiltered.
Okay, I agree with that. However, I think
You
you'd
can
be
say some
extremely.
unhinged shit. You have to realize this.
I think you'd be very hard pressed to find an 11-year-old who would suggest using his classmates' bones as weapons.
I disagree.
I also think you'd be very hard pressed to find an 11-year-old who would suggest using his classmates' intestines to choke someone to death.
I also disagree.
How
I think
many 11-year-olds are you talking to? I framed that question terribly. My apologies.
I've been an 11-year-old
Oh,
before.
that's just every person on Showdown that's unregistered.
Yeah.
Okay, you did not come up with shit like this when you were 11. You are fucking lying.
I want it to be edgy.
Okay, I also wanted to be edgy at 11, and I could not have come up with this.
I would have only started coming up with this when I was about 16, probably.
Right, exactly. Because at 16, you start getting creative. You know a lot more about human anatomy. The idea of how long an intestine is and disemboweling someone and using that to choke someone, it's not that far fetched when you know a bit more about biology.
To be clear, I was a bit behind on this, having absolutely no idea about how.
Well, Harry Potter read a
Uh,
lot.
I do have a funny anecdote to talk to you about this like later.
Right, okay.
Uh, But yeah, that kind of proved to me that I did not know exactly too much about anatomy at that point.
Right.
Mhm.
But yeah, so then after that, Quirrell's like, all right, now, shoot. And Harry's just like, I could shoot Malfoy. He seems like he's ready for it. But then he's like, you know what? No. And then he shoots himself. And then Quirrell says, yes, quite ingenious, but there was a lesson to be taught and you dodged it. What
What
do you
was the
think the lesson was?
Draco Malfoy should be shot.
Right. Okay, that's one proposal. Fiora, what do you think the lesson was?
Quirrell's lesson.
What?
What? Sorry, I don't understand what lesson we're talking about here.
Yeah, so after Quirrell asks Harry to shoot someone with the stunner spell, they Harry decides to turn his wand on himself and just shoot his arm, and Quirrell says, "Yes, quite ingenious, but there was a lesson to be taught and you dodged it." What do you think the lesson was?
Don't hesitate.
Well, considering it was all about picking enemy. You know the whole thing with Draco Malfoy about
Yeah.
how he picked his enemy correctly. He knew he'd like have an enemy who he'd pick an enemy that you wouldn't make any other enemies with. In many cases, this is you pick a friend that you wouldn't lose if you did that to them.
No, the idea is that he shouldn't make an enemy of himself.
What do you mean?
Like by shooting himself, he makes an enemy of himself.
Maybe
What
the
does that
lesson
mean?
is just
I
not
don't
to
know
shoot
why, but
yourself.
it feels like a funny pun.
Maybe.
Yeah, because
A
in
lot of
response
things
to
I
what
say are.
in response to what you said, Fiora, I was gonna say that I disagree because I think that if anything, Harry's decision is another way to have avoided, or not avoided, but like, yeah, no, to have avoided making an enemy of anyone. I would think it's a bit unfair of Quirrell to be like, oh, well, you chose to not make an enemy of anyone by shooting yourself, so you've dodged the lesson. You know,
Mhm.
I don't think that's fair of Quirrell, and I don't think that's like an entirely accurate statement either. It's like I guess in like another situation where let's say you had to shoot someone or like let's like relate this to Lisa, right? Yeah, yeah, no.
Mhm.
She Fiora typed in chat Lisa reference. So yeah, it's like if like Buzzo was around and he was like, "Okay, Brad, you gotta cut someone's arm off," and you had two like party members there or whatever, and then like you chose to just like cut your own off,
Mhm.
then I guess you could argue that would be like dodging the lesson in Quirrell's terms, because it's like that is probably a lot more consequential of a decision, because it's like even in the game terms, you're the character who can't die, so it's probably
Yeah.
more important that you have all of your facilities. Um,
So the lesson is just not to shoot yourself.
maybe I don't know.
Maybe.
That's dumb.
Yeah, I forgot to preface. I don't actually have an answer for this for you guys. I like wanted to talk about it because this was a line that was always very unclear to me. I don't really know what the intended lesson from Coral here is supposed to be. So like I don't know, maybe it's to avoid making enemies, but I feel like Harry's judgment of the situation and how he avoided making costly enemy was like a good one, you know? It's like, yeah, he could have shot Draco, but consider that, like, this is a class being held with all of the first years of every house at the moment. And
Mhm.
not and most of Slytherin isn't aware of the camaraderie that is between Draco and Harry. So
Mhm.
even if Draco told Slytherin house to just like, hey, don't fuck with Harry for that, like I told him to or whatever, that would still have like probably pretty negative consequences because the rest of the house would just be like, why the fuck did you tell Harry to do that? Especially after Harry made a fool of some like older Slytherins already, you know?
Mhm.
So it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that you could be right. This could be an instance of Quirrell being stupid, but I'm just like, I'm not inclined to expect him to be stupid because I think that if that is what he's saying, then Quirrell's just being kind of dumb about it. What about you, Aaron?
I don't know.
All right, fair enough. Because yeah, it's just I've read this book so many times and I've never really been able to piece that particular line to anything else that happens between Quirrell and Harry in the future.
Mhm.
It's always just like stood out as being confusing to me. Um, and then yeah, after that, everyone like walks away, and there's this line from Harry that I really, really don't like, where he just yells out, "Just kidding, Ravenclaw," and everyone just kind of looks at him and is like, "What?" And then they walk away, and it's like I don't know, it feels so jarring and unnatural as a line of dialogue, and like I don't know, maybe we're just supposed to read it as the fumbling words
He's
of
doing a
like
bit.
He was esoteric maxing.
right. Yeah, it's just the bumbling ramblings of an 11-year-old. But I'm not
Yeah.
even. I
He's
don't
doing
even.
a bit.
Yes, but does Quill interact strangely with Cake?
What?
Cake?
Yeah.
What?
Cake?
He's esoteric maxing.
Right.
Right. I'm gonna move on. Anyway, yeah, I don't like interpreting it as just like the bullshit that an 11-year-old says because it's like, yeah, Harry's an 11-year-old, but he's also very clearly not like a normal 11-year-old. So it
You
feels
are
weird.
not normal.
So it feels weird whenever we see like behavior from him that's supposed to be like that we can or how do I phrase this? It feels wrong to ever wave off any of his behavior as like normal 11-year-old stuff. Or not any of his behavior because there are some instances later on where it's like, okay, yeah, he is like still a kid. But
Mhm.
in this instance, I don't know, it's like we've been shown that he's good at talking to people and he's good at getting his point across, I guess. And him just like yelling out "just kidding, Ravenclaw" after he just shot himself is like, what was that supposed to convey? What, I don't know. I've never liked that line. It's always felt like very awkward to me. What did you
He's a
guys think
bit.
about it?
He was being a bit schizophrenic.
Right. You're a big fan of that one.
He was in a coma.
Isn't it? All right. Moving on. The very last bit of this chapter that we see is that Harry wants to go talk to Quirrell and be like, "Yo, you got the wrong idea about me, man. I'm not all about killing people. You know, I just I just thought of a lot of ideas that would mean killing people. I misheard you. We're good, right? You're not
Honest mistake.
honest mistake." But then he gets like this extremely strong, very bad feeling when he tries to approach Quirrell, and then he just like walks away because I think he like immediately gets like fucking yeah, it says Harry started forward, wrong, don't, bad idea. Harry swayed and stopped in his tracks, feeling dizzy. And then yeah, that's the end of the chapter. So what the fuck do you
And
guys
then the
think that was
Ravenclaws
about?
just beat him up.
That's not what happens. But the Ravenclaws do swarm him for questions, but yeah, no,
Oh,
they
I thought
don't beat him up.
I thought that's what they meant by descended on him.
Bro, it'd be such a weird place for the chapter to end.
He descended on me till I uh, uh sorry.
Until the discussions began.
Besides, if anything, wouldn't it be the Hufflepuffs who would like descend on him? They're the ones who he said he would sharpen their bones.
Yeah.
Aw.
Anyway, what do you think that bad vibe from Quirrell was about?
Quirrell was telepathically talking to him.
Quirrell's an empath.
Okay. Fiora? Hello?
Ah,
Fiora! He's gone.
That was the author talking to him.
That's the author talking.
Don't do that. I don't know what to write if you if you do that.
I fucking love that idea. Just I don't know what to write. Don't do that. Instead of just not writing him, approaching him at all.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that's the end of this chunk. What did you guys think? Any overarching thoughts about these 4 chapters?
Did you like this section?
Did you like this section?
I was asking you.
I like this section.
That's cool. I hated this section.
Why?
I was saying it for a bit.
I disagree.
It's like the do you like music? Yeah, I hate music.
No, I got it. I'm
do you
fucking
like
with you.
music?
I disagree.
Does it feel good?
I don't ask me any question that sounds like that ever again.
No, it's an important question.
What did you guys think of this segment? That's what I want to know. Do you have any overarching thoughts now that we've gone over it?
Should you think about my segment?
You are so bad at this.
No, I have Riz.
Okay. All right.
I'm glad we get to meet professors.
Yeah, the professors are characters in this one. It's pretty cool. Rob, what did you think of this chunk?
I still think
Man.
they beat him up.
Okay. Do you think they beat him up, or do you want them to beat him up?
Both.
Right. Right. Of course. Okay.
Left.
Fiora, are you back?
I have to admit, this chapter it's sort of like it's settling down from what the last few chapters were, but in some way it's also about to get a lot bigger.
You
Like,
can
this
blame that
feels
on
like
Robert.
Harry's
What?
everyday experience in a way.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I mean I agree. That's like because this is a chapter that I would say every chunk we've done so far has had a fair amount of like everyday stuff going on, but it's also always been like pinned down by a larger story event. Like in the first chunk, it was all fun intro stuff, and then we got to the prophecy, Harry figuring that out. And then in the second one, it was more like day-to-day stuff, and it was pinned down by the sorting hat.
Mhm.
And in these
Such
4
a-
chapters, and in these 4 chapters, we didn't really have anything like that. It's unfortunate because the next chapter, it would have been the chapter that performed that role if we had done it, but we did not.
She pinned me down until I prophesize.
Okay.
I don't think you followed the format.
I agree.
Listen, I'm an artist. I'm making art. Okay, I can say what I want. Okay, please, I'm a real artist. Please.
Farthest.
Okay.
No, you are not. You are getting tilted on PH ladder.
So true. Get fucked.
Listen, I beat the shit out of Amnail. Okay, I redeemed myself.
No one
Right.
knows who that is. That's not a real person.
Robert knows who he is.
Robert, say you don't
You
know who
should.
that is.
What? I don't
Robert,
know who
say-
that is.
Yeah, that's
Amnail
what I thought.
01. That
You don't know
guy.
who that
I
is, Robert.
One.
That's the same guy.
No, it isn't.
No, it isn't. Stop making up people. All right, so before we close up here, I actually did want to do something now that we've had a chunk where things have kind of like calmed down. And this is the thing that I had referenced earlier that I would talk about now or later. What I wanted to discuss with you guys what you guys think the bigger I guess long-term mysteries we have to deal with so far are in the story.
How does magic work?
All right. Actually, let me type them down. I think I'm gonna put this in pins. All right. How does magic work?
Why did Harry survive at the beginning?
You mean Voldemort?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is Harry like this?
Can you be more specific?
I mean, I feel like it speaks for itself. He's just like this. But, like, why?
Okay. I mean, I guess the reason I said to be more specific is like because it depends on what this is exactly referring to. Like, if you're like, why is Harry a fucking nerd? It's like we do have an answer for that.
It's not an acceptable answer for me. Even if your parents are nerds, that you still should see the uncoolness of nerdiness, as a rule.
No, not at all, actually.
Also, when is Harry gonna burn out and get a minimum wage job at Gringotts?
Gringotts.
Also,
When is the beach episode?
Harry has already identified that that gifted kids burn out, so he's like far above everybody else in this regard.
when is Harry gonna get infinite money?
I'm not putting that down.
Who will win the tournament arc?
There isn't a tournament arc!
um.
Who is in Harry's harem?
Shut the fuck up. I hate you.
Is Dumbledore gay?
I'm not putting that down either. You haven't even met Dumbledore.
Yes, we have.
No, you saw him.
He's gay coded.
Right, okay.
Is Harry gonna kill millions of people?
Okay, I'm not putting that down either.
Like, what's his dark side?
What's his dark side? Okay, that's acceptable.
Ask when the tournament arc was.
Fuck you. Any other...
Who is the transfigure?
Anything else you guys would want to add to the long-term mysteries list?
When are we going to finish this book? It's a long-term mystery.
2024, I will tell you that.
Oh, 100%.
Why am I relegated to being a minor character in this?
What do you mean?
No, I show up in chapter 13 as Aaron the Consort.
Oh, right.
Holy shit, you used the consort?
Yeah, I can role block someone for a night. And
That's
I'm
crazy.
part of the mafia.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Why does Harry know about like the anthropic principle? Why is he a cringe humanist instead of based anti-humanist?
Anti-humanist is not based.
What if it said Harry Potter and the fastest and hardest bone?
Right.
When does Harry Potter learn the methods of rationality?
That's actually a good one, but I'm not sure if it's worth putting on the list.
What if instead of Bayes' theorem, it was based theorem, and it showed you how to be based?
Bayes' theorem does show you how to be based.
Based on what?
Your mother.
No! Oedipus! No!
That sure is something that you just said. Wow. Alright, so is everyone like done with proposals then?
No, hold on. How does Quidditch work?
What do you
And
mean, how does Quidditch work?
what's Harry Potter gonna do to... Well, I mean, like, how do the broomsticks fly?
How do the broomsticks... Okay, I'm not gonna put that down because while it is a good question, I don't think it's story relevant.
And why did they design it like that? Like why is it so, like, bad in terms of game design?
Where's the self-insert character?
It's Hermione.
Right.
Are they going to, are they going to upload Eliezer's body and freeze his brain, or are they going to, freeze his body and upload his brain?
So that's not about the story.
I'm just wondering. I mean, it's kind of relevant.
It's really not. But okay. Okay, now are you done proposing, Aaron?
How far does Neville Longbottom get?
What? That's not even like a mystery. You're just asking things now.
No. How far does he get?
What does that mean?
I mean, how far does he get? In the tournament.
He doesn't. No. God fucking damn it. God. I fucking hate it here.
All right, buddy. Do you have any questions? Do you have any big mysteries?
You said earlier that Quirrell is fucked up.
Yeah,
Do you think he is mystery worthy?
I think he just has a mental illness.
Okay.
How long is Longbottom's bottom?
Okay,
Um,
I have another question. Last chunk, when we first met Quirrell, I pointed out that in canon he wears a turban because Voldemort occupies the back of his head. However, the story points out here that there is no turban, Quirrell is balding, and we clearly see the back of his head. So, where's
he's just a
Voldemort?
guy.
He lives rent-free in his head.
Do you guys consider
Yay.
the question of where Voldemort is to be a relevant mystery?
He's up his ass.
He doesn't necessarily have to be in Quirrell for the record. I mean, like, he's not where we would expect him to be based on canon. So, like, where the fuck is he?
I don't know.
In his
Maybe he's
ass.
in the fucking Chamber of Secrets, like he was in the original canon.
No, that was the second book, and that wasn't even like him. That was 16-year-old fragment of his soul. All right, I'm putting it down.
Okay. Yeah,
Where's
that's a good
Voldemort?
question. Where is Voldemort?
Because, like, granted, it is extremely early, but like we know that he's not in a spot where we expected him to be. Like, if we met Quirrell and it was like, oh, his turban, he's got a turban, we could very easily assume, like, okay, well, Voldemort's in there. Now we just have to wonder what the fuck the plan is, because there'd be no way that it's like the exact same plan as canon, you know?
He has a bald cap on.
He has a. Right. Okay.
Why is there a currency called nuts? Like,
Again, good questions, not really mystery material.
no, we're gonna find out.
Right.
Oh,
you know what? You know what's something I actually forgot to bring up earlier? So, Harry gets his invisibility cloak. It is a
His
gift.
visibility cloak?
His invisibility cloak.
Oh.
Yeah, he receives it after he travels back in time to set up the prank, and it's in like this Christmas gift box, even though it's nowhere near Christmas. And there's a note attached to it. Robert typed in the chat, visibility cloak, pride flag. Anyway, yeah, there's a note attached to the cloak saying to that this is like an item of power. It's one of the Deathly Hallows. It's passed down from his father. And to keep it hidden because if someone like Dumbledore were to get his eye on it, he would not let it out of his sight. Stuff like that. But the note in particular is unsigned. I meant to ask you guys, who do you guys think gave him the cloak?
Harry Potter from the future.
No, he's already gone back. Yeah, he's already gone back 6 hours, I think. So it can't be him who gave it to himself.
Yeah, it was.
No.
Hagrid.
Hagrid?
Yeah.
That's a crazy prediction. Just because we haven't even like had dialogue from Hagrid, I think.
Yeah, he hasn't been mentioned in the story.
Fiora, where do you think the cloak came from? She's gone.
I think it was from Amazon Prime that he just ordered it from and forgot about.
He ordered it in a Christmas box?
Yeah. It was
He
scheduled
forgot
to
about
be
it.
there around Christmas,
Right,
but
okay.
it got delayed.
So I'm gonna mention this because there's a fair amount of like a fair element of most of the mysteries is that they play on your expectations, and they still work if you don't know canon, but there is an extra layer of appreciation to them that I think you can get by sort of having the context. And in canon, Harry actually does not receive the invisibility cloak until Christmas, and I believe.
How does he receive it all inside the cannon? Like, do they put it in the cannon?
Shut the fuck up.
Oh my god.
Podcast
No.
listeners are gonna think that I like legit hate you people because you're always saying dumb shit, and I have to tell you to shut up, or else we'll never move on.
Yeah, but we don't have any podcast listeners, so.
We're just asking the hard questions.
And questioning the flaccid answers.
I'll have
What?
you know, none of my answers have been flaccid.
Oh yeah, prove it.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, so yeah, in canon, he gets it, and it's from Dumbledore. He says that it was his father's, and it should be his now. Dumbledore gives him that cloak. So do you think that in this universe it is still Dumbledore? Is there a chance that it is still Dumbledore?
Yeah.
Okay,
Probably.
probably.
Even though he was like, oh, you can't let Dumbledore see this. That could just be Dumbledore trolling him.
Yeah.
Why would Dumbledore troll him about that, though?
To make it think that it wasn't from.
But why would Dumbledore want to make Harry think it wasn't from Dumbledore?
A little bit of trolling.
Yeah.
For what reason?
like- It was like it's just the same reason as he was like fucking with him and with the come team.
But he
Exactly.
wasn't fucking with him with the comment T. No. That was just the comment T doing the comment T shit, man.
But why did Dumbledore fuck with him then?
Dumbledore, what do you mean?
Oh, anyone interested in reformulating the entire game of Quidditch should contact Harry Potter. What the fuck? Why did he say that?
It's a funny thing to say.
He was fucking with him.
Okay, you know what? That's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is fucking with him.
exactly.
So why do you guys suppose Dumbledore wants to fuck with Harry Potter?
Because it's funny.
It would be funny to fuck with any other student too.
Yeah,
You
but
could fuck with Draco Malfoy.
Harry Potter's funnier.
Right. That's fair.
It would be funny if instead of the boy who lived, he was the boy who died, and he died.
Okay. It'd be funny if afterwards he came back to life and they called him the boy who revived.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, obviously, but like revival is impossible in this world.
Is it though? I don't
Yeah.
do am I misremembering? Do we get anything that says that's impossible in these chapters we've read so far? I know it's not in canon.
Yeah, of course. It's the first law of magic. No revival allowed.
Right. I don't think that happens.
I might be
Also,
misremembering. Maybe it's like the second or third law.
Robert said the boy who dived for the beach episode. You know, they're in the middle of Scotland, right?
There's water around them.
They can use magic to make water,
Yeah.
like a lake.
There is a lake at Hogwarts.
Oh, why didn't you tell us?
It's called the Great Lake, and there's a giant squid in it.
Awesome.
USA reference.
What? Don't say
Great
that. Don't say that. That's not cool.
What?
You heard me. Alright, so the proposed great mysteries of the story so far that we have listed are: how does magic work? Why did Harry survive Voldemort? Why is Harry like this? What's his dark side? And where is Voldemort? Does everyone agree?
His dark side is the side that doesn't face the sun.
Right.
Where's Voldemort?
I put that down.
Where's
I'm just asking, where is he?
I don't know.
I think you do know, actually. I think you've like read this before.
No. I disagree.
Where's Leah? Like,
She's not a character.
no, like I have this theory where like all four of these pieces of media happen in the same universe.
Why?
It just makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
It came to me in a dream.
One of them is post-apocalyptic and set in the future, and the other one is set in the future and not apocalyptic.
Yeah, it is.
Bitches love coming to me in a dream.
Shut the fuck up.
It's post-apocalyptic because it takes place in Britain.
Right.
Real?
Right. All right. So then, yeah, those are what we consider to be the great mysteries of the story so far, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, I'm glad we agree on that. Yeah, I wanted to bring it up now that we had sort of like a toned down segment because I want us to be able to remember these and then look back on them as we get to like more and more segments. I think the next time I want to check back in on these are when we're done with this book, quote unquote, of the story. Because I don't. You guys are reading it on the ebook, right?
I have the PDF version.
Yeah.
Oh, you have the PDF version. Okay. Well, Fiora, you said you're using the ebook.
Oh, I am using.
Oh, what about you, Rob?
PDF.
Damn. Okay. Uh, well, on the ebook, the story is divided into 5 segments, um, and they're titled Harry James Potter Evans Verus, and I'm just gonna say Harry Potter from now on. Harry Potter and the Messes of Rationality is the first one. Second one is Harry Potter and the Professor's Games. The third one is Harry Potter and the Shadows of Death. Fourth one
Wow.
is fourth one is Hermione
Oh,
Jean
that's
Granger.
where the torn arc was. It's the second one.
It's not a tournament arc. Anyway, fourth one is called Hermione Jean Granger and the Phoenix's Call. Fifth one is called Harry Potter and the Last Enemy, and the sixth one is called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
You
So
said there were only 5.
I miscounted.
Philosopher's Stone.
That isn't very
Is this a
that isn't
prequel?
very rational of you.
It's a mistake. It happens.
Is this a prequel?
No.
I think that only serves to show that this is in fact a coma, and like he experiences an alternate reality before the real Harry Potter starts.
No, they just come up with a better time turner, and it goes 6 years in the past.
You know, Rowling did that, and she wrote the worst story ever when she did.
Nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh.
Did you read The Cursed Child?
No.
Good. Don't. Fucking awful.
What happened to the child?
The Cursed Child is referencing a daughter of Bellatrix and Voldemort, and her name is Delphi, and she's written like a self-insert anime character. Like she's like 20, and she has silver hair, and I think like blue eyes, and all this other shit. And her name is Delphi. It's really really bad.
Is she gay?
God, I wish. That might actually make for a better story because one of the plot points is that one of the main characters, or both of the main characters, which are Draco's son and Harry's youngest son, are both crushing after her, and
Right.
she uses that to manipulate them. And by the way, she is 20 and they are like 14.
Why did you read this?
Wow.
What?
Why did you read this?
Because I didn't know about it before I read it, and I
Neither
was
did
like,
I, but
and I was like,
I no longer want to know that.
I was like, wow, new Rowling work about Harry Potter, and this was before she was like a known transphobe, so I was interested in more Harry Potter shit, and then I read it and I was like, wow, this is fucking dog shit. It's so stupid. You know what the premise is? The premise is that like Harry's son is all sad about being the boy who lives son in being in Slytherin, and everyone's a real ass to him about it. And then he's like, you know what? I can't believe this. My dad failed to save Cedric Diggory when he was 14. This is so fucked up. I'm gonna go back in time and save Cedric Diggory. And then they do that, and the result of saving Cedric Diggory is that he gets so embarrassed by how he was saved that he becomes a dark wizard. And so Voldemort wins the war. That's what happens. So they have to go back in time again and keep trying to change shit to make the timeline right while also trying to save Diggory. And no matter what they do, if they save Diggory, Voldemort wins because he becomes a dark wizard. It's really fucking stupid.
Is this an
Anyway.
Avengers Endgame reference?
this does happen in Adventure in the game.
No, it doesn't.
That does.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
I haven't seen Avengers Endgame or Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
I have seen Endgame and I read The Cursed Child.
Nah.
My bad. Anyway, my point was, like I was saying, I want us to come back at this list of questions that we have when we finish this first group of chapters, which will be The last one is chapter 21, so probably 2 chunks from now.
I
Unless
think we
we
could do
do.
it in one chunk.
I
17 to
don't.
21. That's not a lot.
That's not. But you have to remember that 17 alone is like 10,000 words, and I don't know how long the other chapters are. So these might be
Neither do
pretty
I.
long chapters. So
I
I'll
mean,
have
we
to
can do
double
it.
check. See, okay, here's the thing. We, as in the unemployed ones, can do it. Can
That's
Robert do
fair.
it?
That's fair.
Because the reason we had such a short chunk this time is because 30K was like kind of a struggle for him last time, and so I was like, okay, well that's fine. We'll just tone it down a bit.
Yeah.
But then I guess it didn't even really matter because you rushed the whole thing at last minute anyway. So like, sounds like the problem maybe wasn't the chunk, huh?
So true. I should become unemployed.
No. Look, I'm just saying, it's just reading. I'm sure you can find time to read, dude.
No.
He read on my book until I turn time.
That's so fucking stupid.
Stay.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, after chapter 21, I want to come back, look at these, and you know what I think I might do? I might keep a doc. I might keep a doc to see, to keep track of everyone's like predictions and all the hints that you guys take note of.
My prediction is that Harry Potter will find the cum goblet.
Oh my god. Anyway, yeah, I might keep it doc because part of what I think is gonna make this, or what I expected to make this really fun for me, is getting to watch you guys figure shit out. So yeah, this will make it easier for you guys to like figure shit out and remember that there's shit for you to figure out, you know. But
I thought
anyway,
you like remember that there's shit in general.
I don't. Would you need help remembering that there is shit in general?
I don't know with us for
What?
sometimes. Never mind. I'm just talking out my ass.
Okay. Anyway, so then yeah, we're wrapping up. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about in these chapters?
Maybe.
Aaron, please.
Okay. No.
I think we should continue talking out of our ass.
I would love to, but I do kind of have to check whether or not I'm doing anything today. So I can't afford to stay here until 4 o'clock.
Okay, buddy.
Well, I'm too sleepy to try and do it anyway. So
Yeah.
Okay, buddy.
All
Here's some
right.
reference.
All right. Well,
Right.
thank you everyone for coming. We will be doing, I don't know yet. Probably chapters 17 to 19. Maybe if we're lucky, we can do 17 to 21. Rob, how do you feel on chunk size? Do we still aim for 20K? Do you think you can try 30K if you read not everything at the last minute? What do you want to do?
I would definitely not read everything last minute.
Yeah, I can't tell if that's a sincere like admission of attempting to not do that or not.
I was doing a bit.
What?
I was doing a bit.
Right. Okay,
Wow.
but like I need to know how long I should aim for this next chunk to be then.
Um, size doesn't matter.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm going to aim for like 25K then. And if the end result is that it has to be like closer to 30, and if I cut it down, we lose an important chapter, then I'm just gonna opt to keep the chapter. All right. All right. Anyway, thanks for
why do
coming,
I have
everyone.
2 chats already? What?
Thanks for coming. This is HPMOR chapters 13 through 16. We are not any closer to figuring out this story, but new shit came up, and we know that Harry's like super fucked up kid now. So something
I'm
wrong with that
closer.
guy. Right, Aaron thinks she's closer. I think she's delusional. She's gonna think it's time travel.
It was
I
You
think
know
it's
what?
time travel.
I'm
I know
actually
it's time travel.
I'm surprised you haven't proposed that the reason that Harry's like this is because he's a time traveler with amnesia or something.
I think he's. I think.
That sounds
Yeah.
like a dumb pop culture reference I've heard somewhere else.
A dumb what?
Pop culture reference I've heard somewhere else.
Oh, an amnesiac time traveler? I don't know. I don't think I've read any media that's like
Yeah,
that.
I feel like I've heard that before.
I mean, it's probably been used. It's not very creative. It's not very unique.
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
All right. Well then, yeah. we'll be doing Garden of Words tomorrow. I'm not excited for that one, I'm sorry to say. I did not have like anything to say about chapter 8. So unless everyone else is really pulling their weight this time around, that might be a short episode. But who knows? All right, say bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Say GG.
See ya.
Right.
Bye.